Hey everybody, welcome back to Mining Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler, and before we go any further, I do have to apologize for these videos being late. If you can't tell, I'm getting over being sick over the weekend, and I just wasn't able to get the videos out when I wanted, and I'm sorry. I throw myself down at your feet. I'm sorry I'm late this week, but they're here. I've never missed a week. I'm not going to start now, so here we go. We are playing Blue Steel. Zach Elsick Special. This was a deck I helped name, actually, when he debuted it to the world at GP Vegas. And this is one of those I wanted to revisit with some updates from Dominaria, Traxos, I'm talking about, for a long time. And now seems like the time to get to it, even though we're a little behind on Dominaria. I'm going to mulligan this hand, though, but you can see what our deck wants to do. We are all about artifacts, specifically cheating things out. But I'm going to mulligan this hand just because 4 lands is quite a bit. This looks probably a little better here. This is a wild deck. If you've never seen this deck, you're in for a treat. It does some cool stuff. We play creatures, we make mana for artifacts, we kill people with Throne of the God-Pharaoh. It is a pretty sweet one all around. We'll keep this in. Our opponent actually mulliganed to 5, so we're in perfectly reasonable shape here no matter what. And if we can find a second blue source so that we can cast this Grand Architect, well, then we'll really be in business. I do not want a third Mausoleum Wanderer, though. I don't hate it, but I don't want it either. All right, our opponent on the Affinity plan, I guess. So, unfortunately, that means 5 cards might be enough to kill us, but we'll see what we can do here. Artifacts all around in this one. Lodestone Golem, it's actually going to be a little awkwardly not very good here. It is a 5/3. It's got that going for it. Having X1s, cards like Mausoleum Wanderer are good against Affinity already, though, which is nice, as is the Blinkmoth Nexus as well. So, I'd say Ravager's probably the scariest card. That is impressively old school right there. That's what that is. A Frogmite? Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see what we hit here. Beautiful. By the way, this untaps Traxos. All right, so there's our second blue source here. So now we have a lot of options. I think the plan is going to be to just play the Mausoleum Wanderer here. Next turn, play the Grand Architect into the Throne of the God-Pharaoh and possibly even the Lodestone Golem. I think we can actually do all 3 of those. So as long as our opponent doesn't kill us too hard, we're going to just empty our hand next turn. This Grand Architect is such a cool card. So it's a 1/3 for 3, but other blue creatures you control get +1/+1. It's already just a color-specific lord. That's great. Target artifact creature becomes blue until end of turn for 1 blue. Tap an untapped blue creature you control at 2 mana. So, you can only use that mana for artifacts. So, what that means, though, is we can even turn something like the Lodestone Golem into a blue creature that we can then tap for more artifact mana, and you get to turn 1 blue into 2 colorless, is the way it works out. So, pretty sweet card all around. Plus, we're just going to, I mean, watch this next turn. It's just going to be great. Let's see what we hit here, though. Another island. Don't want any more lands from this point on, but... All right, so Grand Architect, and now we're going to, let's see here. Make sure I do this right. Tap an untapped blue creature I control. Yep, that'll be this one. And now I'll cast the Throne of the God-Pharaoh. And this is what's really going to be cool, because you would think that, hey, we're tapping these Mausoleum Wanderers for mana. That's not very good. We want to be attacking with them. But you know what? Throne of the God-Pharaoh, not quite the same as attacking, but it is in fact pretty close. So that's pretty neat. Now we even get to play out a Lodestone Golem here. Unfortunately, I cannot do anything to tap this for mana, I don't believe. So we'll just pass the turn. We'll deal 3 damage to our opponent here instead of the 4 we would have got from attacking. Not a bad trade-off considering we now have everything in play. And next turn we get to attack for a bunch. We get to fire up the Blinkmoth Nexus. We get to turn it blue to pump it if we have so many options available to us right here. Plus, I mean, not that this matters probably too much against Affinity, but we are taxing their non-artifact spells. It taxes us as well, but as you can see, we just did it last. We have no hand. And look at that, it actually did tax them because they have a Galvanic Blast here for our Grand Architect. So, I mean, I could throw away both Mausoleum Wanderers to keep it, but I don't think that's what I want to do. I think we're just going to have to let this one go here. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Well, our opponent doesn't have good attacks. as it currently stands. Yeah, just firing up the Ink Moth here. Not where they want to be. We'll see what we draw. Obviously, we have a lot of draws that would be better than others right here. You know, lands are pretty bad, and this game isn't locked up one way or another. Ethereum Sculptor, well, that's what our deck does. Sometimes you get hands like this. Well, you definitely have draws like this, but it can combo off pretty hard. Now, actually, the biggest concern with losing our Grand Architect here is actually going to be that we no longer have a way to tap so many sick creatures to get him with Throne of the God-Pharaoh. But that's going to be fine. I'm going to get on in here. We're going to get 3 in the air. And we're just going to win. Yep. Because even if our opponent were to, say, double block the Lodestone Golem with these, I mean, we're at 16 life and 1 poison, hitting them for 3 in the air, and then another 3 from Throne of the God-Pharaoh. What are they going to do? All right, on to the sideboard, though. Our opponent probably has a pretty good sideboard plan. Do we? That's the question. Definitely want the Karns. The Ballistas are just going to be so good here. I'm going to cut Lodestone Golem. I definitely want these Ceremonious Rejections, as you might be able to guess. Chief Engineer, I love this one. Artifact spells you cast have Convoke. Pretty nice. Copters are going to be very good here as well. I think I'm going to just go ahead and cut all the Lodestones. I mean, they tax a little bit of our opponent's spells, but it's just generally not going to be worth it. Grafdigger's Cage, Pithy Needle. We don't need these. Actually, Pithy Needle I do want. Now that I think that one through. Look at this. We're playing Traxos, a 7/7 Trampler for 4. We have plenty of Historic Souls. We're playing Artificer's Assistant. This deck is incredible. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut an Ethereum Sculptor here. I think this puts us in a good spot. We don't need the Wormcoil. The Trinket Mage is nice. The Trinket Mage is obviously to go get the needles and the cages and all that, but I'm not sure if it's better here or not. It's not bad. Let's see if we can find more cuts for it. If I cut one more Sculptor and then maybe one Traxos, I'll give that a shot. I don't know if this is correct or not, but we're lowering our curve, which is good against Affinity, I think. Yeah, I'm into this hand. The real question is going to be how we play the Ceremonious Rejection here, because the 2-drops are the scary thing from Affinity. So, you know, our opponent is going to play a land, and they're going to do whatever they do on their first turn here. The question is whether or not we play Mausoleum Wanderer, or whether we hold up Ceremonious Rejection for a 2-mana threat. And to be honest, I think I'm just going to hold up the Ceremonious Rejection. I'm not scared of a Signal Pest. I don't care. I literally just don't care about the Signal Pest right now, or the 1 point of damage I'm missing. What I don't want is for them to resolve a Ravager or something. A second Signal Pest they can just have. And the Frog. Well, if this is what they're doing, I may as well counter the Frogmite, I guess, right? No, I'm not going to. They can just have this stuff. All I'm going to do is just play a Mausoleum Wanderer next turn. Hold up Ceremonious Rejection still. Well, now I don't even have to play the Wanderer. I can just play the Artificer's Assistant. Is that better? Probably doesn't matter too much, huh? I want to get to 4 mana. We have so many options. We can also just play the Copter here, but that does lower the shields. And I don't want to do that. There's just no reason to do that this game. I'm going to go ahead and play the Mausoleum Wanderer. This is the one I actually want to trade with this, more so than I want the Artificer's Assistant to trade with it. I actually want to scry off of that later on in the game here. So we'll just go ahead and pass the turn back. Our opponent has 1 card in hand. They're going to attack us for some damage here. Whatever. We can hopefully counter anything relevant. The Zinc-Moth Nexus might be the most annoying, but we can block Signal Pest, take it out. Next turn we can place Copter plus Assistant if we want, which would be very powerful. Or we can hold up Rejection. Ideally, we'd get to, you know, Ceremonious Reject a good card on this turn, leave our opponent with no cards in hand, take some damage. Then next turn go Artificer's Assistant into Smuggler's Copter and be completely set up, but we'll see here. Oh, it worked! It actually worked. We got the Mirror Enforcer! This is old school Affinity. I love it. This is what Affinity used to look like. You could play artifact lands and just do things like play Mirror Enforcers on turn 2 or whatever. Oh, that's neat. Okay, so, yep, this is exactly how we wanted the game to play out here. We're going to take some damage this turn, obviously, but that's just fine. We're down to 12. We get an untap here. Oh, wow, I get another one, huh? Okay. I really want to get to 4 mana for the Ballista so I can play it on 2. That's what I'm hoping for here. We're going to go ahead and get a scry off the Assistant. I'm gonna bottom that. Now we get a Copter, and this is just so bad for our opponent. Whatever they attack with, we get a free block with the Copter. We get a loot, which I probably will loot. I'll throw away the Traxos here. I'm more interested in just using this Ballista to take down their board than anything else. So that's what we're aiming towards here. They did not top deck us out of the game there either, which was probably, you know, very important considering that this is the turn where we have no protection up. But this is, all in all, worked out really exactly how we want it to. So, wow, and they don't even want to attack. Yeah, so that's just kind of disastrous for our opponent. We hit our land even, so... maybe I'll just play the Traxos. If we're under no pressure, I'm just going to play Traxos. Why not? There's a Trinket Mage. Yeah, we can get a Pithing Needle with it. That seems fine. I mean, next turn I'm just playing the... next turn I'm definitely just playing the Walking Ballista to untap Traxos and start winning the game that way anyways. So, man, Traxos, Scourge of Kroog. Who knew it was so broken in Modern? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just fire off our Ballista here. X equals 2. This should be really, really extremely powerful here. We'll untap. We even get a Scry. Artificer's Assistant doing work. We untap Traxos. They scoop. That's the way it works. That's Modern, right? If you untap with Traxos, you win. What an awesome game. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's Blue Steel. It's a fun one for sure. Let's run it through some more games. Let's see how it does. I trust me, I can play this deck all day. As much as I want to, I will not keep this hand here. And I will keep this one. This hand needs a payoff, and it doesn't have one at all yet. But, hey, our opponent's mulliganing too, so that always helps. All right, so I'm going to bottom that land here. I think we're on the draw even, so that's helpful. Oh, no, I'm on the play. Even better. Okay. I mean, being on the draw is helpful in the sense that we get to draw some cards, but being on the play is generally just better anyways. I mean, our opponent's leading off on the Evolving Wilds plan, huh? Okay. Artificer's Assistant is tempting here, but I am just going to go ahead and play the Chief Engineer, I think. And this allows us to have a more... It's more mana efficient this turn, so it allows us to have a more explosive turn next turn. We can... You know, if we draw an artifact here, you know, we can do something like play the Assistant, maybe even play the other Chief Engineer, and then convoke out a big artifact. And Chief Engineer, it doesn't look like much, but this card is downright silly with cards like Hangerback Walker, or more appropriately in our deck, Walking Ballista. It just makes for a very, very large Walking Ballista very quickly, and that just dominates a lot of matchups in Modern. Okay, our opponent's on Border Posts plan, huh? Alright. Does that mean we're going to get... Oh, no. Well, this could be bad. This could actually be a problem, just for the record. So, for those who don't know, Mausoleum Wanderer is going to be pretty important here. But, for those who don't know, what I think we're playing against is either somebody in a Modern queue with just a ridiculously budget deck, or more likely, we're playing against Restore Balance, where they cascade into casting the card Balance to make us sacrifice all of our creatures and all our lands, and they do it with As Foretold. So this is going to be pretty ugly. It's going to come down to whether or not they have it here. Mausoleum Wanderer can counter it this turn, but that's it. So yeah, this could get pretty ugly pretty fast. Obviously, it doesn't help that we haven't drawn anything. I mean, I am getting in there. Oh my gosh. All right, here goes. It's got a time counter. Yep, and they've got it too. Yep. All right, so Ardent Plea, cascade into Restore Balance. Each player chooses a number of lands they control equal to the number of lands controlled by the player who controls the fewest. So whatever. The point is, I think we're going to end up with 2 lands here. No creatures. Yeah, this is just ugly. Ugly, ugly game. But the good news is Blinkmoth Nexus actually does give us, I mean, at least maybe a possibility to win the game. So that's what we're going for here. I can return the Obero too. which is, you know, probably not super relevant, but it's still nice. All right, so I'm going to choose my 2 lands here. Yep. We're going to lose all of our creatures. That's pretty rough. Also, this is just an enchantment that sticks around. I don't think that's relevant, but hey, it's a thing. All right, so now we just have to hope our opponent doesn't really have anything. So I don't have the mana to do this, right? I should have played... Alright, so I should have maybe played this one last turn. Yep, alright, guess we'll get in for 1. The thing is, you know, generally this deck wins by locking people out of lands or locking people out of creatures. In this case, they did get the board wipe on us, but, you know, they have a lot of bad draws in their deck. We might be able to just, you know, get somewhere here. And now we even have another Blink Moth. So I'm just going to go ahead and play the Traxos. I think this is fine. You know, if my opponent has another Restore Balance here and makes a sacrifice on 2 lands again, we keep 2 Blink Moths and we go from there. But I think that we at least have to try for the Traxos here, because if we hit something, you know, 1 attack from it is obviously huge. Oh gosh, my opponent... This is bad, though. See, this is the danger. My opponent has more and more border posts. How does this work with artifacts? Lands, creatures, and discarding. It does not work with artifacts. So we're going to get hosed again here. Oh no, now I get to keep 1 land. What a disaster. Not that there's anything I can do about it. This is their deck. They have Restore Balances and a lot of ways to get Restore Balance, and including Emrakul. See, like I said, that puts them back in the deck for the next Cascade spell to get them. So, also Traxos can't block this turn for what it's worth. They're down to 1 card in hand, and we have a... Well, now we have an Ethereum Sculptor, so I guess we're doing it, really. I mean, at least this Ethereum Sculptor helps... No, it attacks, and it also helps us cast stuff, so we just have to hope that they flood out on lands and, you know, border posts and that sort of thing here. Well, Ballista's pretty good here. In fact, I think I'm going to go for the, well, we could only Ballista for... No, I'm not going to. We could only Ballista for 1 here. I think it's better to just do 2 damage to them. Wait till we hit another land and then try to Ballista for 2. Because As Foretold's going to have all the counters, so you've got that. Got that right. This deck's sweet. I've never played this on here just because of how slow... Literally the only reason I don't think I've ever played it for Mighty Modern is just because of how slow it is. It takes forever to win. But it is a real thing, and actually now we've just lost the game because now we have no lands, and now we have no creatures, and border posts OP. I think that's the moral of the story here. Alright, I've seen enough. Good game. The deck is super weak to sideboard hate. Unfortunately, we don't necessarily have a lot of that sideboard hate. This we definitely want the Thorn of Amethyst in here. Pithy Needle, I don't think matters. Wormcoil, well, if it gets in play, it gives us tokens when it dies. I think Karn's very good. I think the Traxos are pretty bad. You know, to be honest, I think our deck is reasonably well set up against them. I don't think it's, you know, particularly bad for us in any way. The Lodestones are good. The Ballistas are fine. I can probably cut a Ballista here. Trinket Mage for Cage. Can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. That's not how Cascade works. Relic seems fine. They do, I mean, they just have the Emrakul for the shuffle and win con. Ceremonious Rejection, I don't think does too much. I guess this is just what we're going to go with. The question is whether or not I'd want the Relic. I mean, surely we can just free roll 1 Relic here, right? By cutting a... probably just by cutting another Ballista. You know, I do like the Ballista for doing direct damage to them, but if we assume that we're having our mana attacked at every stage of the game, that may not matter that much. So, well, we did free roll a Ballista, or our Relic here. I'm going to keep it. Hand is somewhat questionable, but the Mausoleum Wanderer is protection. The Relic helps moving forward. The Lodestone Golem is obviously extraordinarily good if we can get it out there. So Ethereum Sculptor is exactly what we wanted to draw, to be honest. So That or Chief Engineer would have possibly been the only better one. But this is great. So now we get to attack for 1 here. Our opponent is nowhere near doing anything. They have a Terramorphic Expanse. So the attacks aren't necessarily taking off yet. Well, I guess I get a free roll this Relic, huh? And now we get to untap and play Lodestone Golem. At that point, we are taxing our opponent's non-artifact spells by 1 every time. So that gets the Restore Balance and the Cascade spell. We also have the Mausoleum Wanderer to counter it after that. And more importantly, probably, we just get to attack him for 5 a turn. So we're in a pretty solid spot right here, I think. I have no idea what my opponent's sideboard's into. I have no idea what they're doing, right? I'm just, you know, I'm playing against their game 1 plan. No idea what their sideboarded plans look like. But I do know that a turn 3 Lodestone Golem tends to be pretty good against combo decks. We get to cycle the Relic if we need to. And honestly, I might. I'll probably fire up the it depends what we draw, but I'll fire up the Blinkmoth Nexus attack and go from there. All right, let's see what they're up to. All right. Oh no, an Ingot Chewer. Well, that is actually a very good one. So the Ingot Chewer is going to take out our Lodestone Golem by getting evoked out here. It's going to go away, but fortunately so is our Lodestone Golem. Yeah, that changes a lot. Lodestone Golem was a pretty key a pretty key factor we had working for us here. So let's see what we can do. I hit a Copter, huh? Copter's not bad. We'll get in for 3. The problem is going to be how many lands we get to keep. That's going to be the thing here. All right, Copter deployed. Getting to loot next turn would be nice as well, obviously. I'll probably crack the Relic here, just no matter what happens at their instep, just to cycle it. We've got to try to find something to kill them. But if they're playing lands, that's good for us. Losing our own Loathsome out of our graveyard, not a big deal. Ah, Artificer's Assistant, I like, okay. Well, here's the question. Our opponent seems set up next turn to go for it. Although the Mausoleum Wanderer would make them pay 2 if we have the Grand Architect in play, which should be enough because they pay 3 to Cascade, and then they only have a max of... Well, they could still do it, because they could have 2 mana after that if they play a land. So, oh man, this is rough. I don't know what to do with the Grand Architect. I could play the Grand Architect here. I could play my land, I could play the Grand Architect, I could play the Artificers. I could do everything I wanted. But if they have it, we're just going to be dead at that point. So, I think I might be better off playing the Artificer's Assistant, crewing the Copter, firing up the Blinkmoth, getting in for the max amount of damage this turn. We'll get to loot as well. Let's see. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for even, but I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even think second Grand Architect is what we're looking for. I want the land to play. All right, so we get to get in though for 6 damage here, in theory. Even if our opponent has it, hopefully we get to keep 2 lands. We get to replay a Grand Architect and go for... Oh, they have it at instant speed, huh? Well, you know what? Instant speed isn't even that good. It just means that our Mausoleum Wanderer counters a Restore Balance. And it means they get to... Oh, no. Are we gonna... Why are they adding... Where'd that mana go? Oh, they exiled a Simian Spirit Guide to pay for it? Huh. I think I've died. Yep. Sure have. Alright, good game, Restore Balance. Maybe it doesn't take that long to win. It sure crushed us pretty quickly. That was impressive. Kudos. Well done. I have died. Nice match. Alright, here we go with some more blue steel. And you know what? This hand looks pretty nice. Actually, I'm pretty excited about this hand. Now, it's going to depend entirely on what our opponent is playing. because our hand ranges from, oh my gosh, that's really cool, this is sweet, to, oh, my opponent's playing Storm and our hand doesn't do anything. But we'll see here. Oh, they're playing Dredge. You know what? Our hand is pretty decent against Dredge. And so's our sideboard. I can handle this. Alright, so what's the best way to do this here? I think I'm supposed to play the Ethereum Sculptor here. No, probably the Chief Engineer. It's probably the Chief Engineer. Oh no. It's so annoying though, because if my opponent were, I have to attack because we know we have to do damage to my opponent. But how unlucky would it be if they milled a Narcomoeba here and blocked? Okay, fortunately they didn't even go for that, so we dodged a bullet there. All right, I'm gonna go with the Chief Engineer. I think that it's better. I don't actually know. I mean, it's got more toughness, I guess, which could be relevant. All right. Well, they hit a Faithless Looting, so that's pretty good for them, but not a Dredge creature and not anything that comes into play, so, or has an effect. No Creeping Chills there. So, and our opponent actually probably should have Shriekhorned in their upkeep to try to hit a Dredge creature. That did not happen, so that's, in theory, good for us. They might just have everything they need. Or, for all I know, they're playing Shriekhorn and they're not playing Dredge. I don't know what the mana bases of Dredge look like these days. So far all I know, it's some other type of Graveyard Brew. It's a lot of Shriekhorns, though. Ooh, I like Lodestone. Alright, so this is the turn. In theory, we can do quite a bit on this turn. I'm going to try to figure out exactly how to do it here. I think it probably starts with casting Ethereum Sculptor. Alright, then I'll play the Mausoleum Wanderer. So I could use the Mausoleum Wanderer. I mean, I could attack for 3 here. I think it's actually better to convoke out the Lodestone Golem for free. I mean, look at this. Oh, I still get to attack. Oh, yeah, because of the Ethereum Sculptor. Baller. Okay. We get in for 2 anyways. This deck has just got crazy synergy. Like I said, that is a turn 3 Lodestone Golem on top of everything else we have in play while getting to attack and having interaction. And now, our opponent, okay, so they are playing Dredge. So the problem for them, and they hit a Dredge creature, but they didn't hit something on that incept to get the Amalgam back in play. So we get to attack for quite a bit of damage next turn, or we get to make a giant Walking Ballista, whichever we prefer to do. We're also taxing all of our opponent's non-artifact spells, which, you know, maybe not a lot, but it's better than nothing, right? Makes their Life from the Loam or whatever else cheaper. They still haven't hit. They have a Bloodghast, so if they have a land, they're good to go. But if not, they're probably just dead. Their deck just maybe fails to fire a little bit here. But surely, I mean, they don't have green mana either for Life from the Loam, so yeah, and they just didn't have it there. So that was huge. That was huge. Okay, so at this point, I could Ballista for 1 billion. The question is, attack. I think I just attack though. I honestly think just getting as much damage through as possible is the right play here. Yeah, we put our opponent to 6. Look, now I can just untap and probably just kill them with a Walking Ballista by convoking my creature. So even if they do manage to get things into play this turn, they're still going to be in trouble. And the good news for us is this is game 1. You're not supposed to beat Dredge in game 1. But if we make it to the sideboarded games here, and we get Trinket Mage, access to Trinket Mage plus Relic, I mean, it's better than nothing. I mean, Dredge can still dredge you. In fact, we could still lose from this position. You know, my opponent could just dredge a bunch of stuff here and hit 4 Creeping Chills and gain 12 life, and all of a sudden we're in trouble. But we'll see. They haven't done that, fortunately. They're out of Shriekhorn activations. If they fetch with their Wooded Foothills, that's 1 less damage we have to deal with Ballista. But I think they're just going to end up dying here. I think how this is going to turn out. They have gone down to 5. Conflagrate's probably the scariest thing, but even that just doesn't seem that bad because of, it just seems, I mean, it would certainly be good against us, but I just think with the Lodestone Golem and the Mausoleum Wanderer, it's just not going to be good enough. So I think they're in a lot of trouble here. Those Amalgams are going to come into play tapped. I think I just have lethal on the ground. I don't even think this Ballista is going to be needed. There's a lot of prize amalgam triggers, though. This is where I miss MTG Arena. Hey, look at that. They know what's up. All right. Oh, Karn. Okay, so on to the sideboarded games against Dredge, because we took game 1 somehow. Well, I'd like these Grafdigger's cages. I'd like this Relic of Progenitus. I'd like all these Trinket Mages. I'd like to cut the Traxoses. I think Karn's fine. I think Karn's fine here, especially if the game gets slowed down. I think Throne of the God-Pharaoh is medium in this matchup, but if the board gets stalled, it can still be decent. I'm going to cut an Artificer's Assistant because we have to make some cuts here. The Ballistas, I think, are pretty good. They're not insane, but they are pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and cut a Chief Engineer here. This has the non-stackable effect. Alright, so this gets us to 61 cards. We need to cut one more, huh? So I can cut an expensive card, I can cut a Karn, I can cut, another Artificer's Assistant here. The other question would be whether or not I want Thorn of Amethyst in the deck. And honestly, against Dredge on the draw, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it's good against a lot of things they might do, but they can also just dredge a bunch, and then it doesn't really do too much at all. But surely, let's get a couple of them in here. I'm going to cut the Karn. I don't hate Karn at all, but I do think on the draw it's going to be a little rough. And probably another Chief Engineer. I'm going to give this a shot. The only issue is these Ballistas are getting worse as we go here. So maybe I want to cut a Ballista, add back a Chief Engineer. Yeah, I'm going to give this a shot. This is a weird sideboard, and obviously, if you're playing this deck, you should come up with your own sideboard plan. But this is on the fly what we're going with here. I think I'm going to mulligan this. If this was game 1 against an unknown opponent, I think this hand would be fine, but I don't think it does anything here. This one, however, does. I'd like to keep that on top, I believe. Wow, this hand is great. This hand's kind of unreal, actually. Let's see how badly... Yeah, and if my opponent just... If I was able to actually not play the... Well, I'm playing Kate. If I was able to play the Mausoleum Wanderer on turn 1 instead of the Cage, that would be great. Because then we could play the Ethereum Sculptor on turn 2, making the Cage cost 0. And that would be the most efficient thing to do. However, that said, with my opponent putting double Amalgam into the graveyard, I don't really think I can risk that. I think I just have to go ahead and shut this down while we can. And of course, we need it to stay shut down, because that's the other thing, is our opponent could just Nature's Claim this and be off to the races, but we'll see. Good news is if we do get on tap with it, we get to play Mausoleum Wanderer? What would I do this turn? Might play Thorn of Amethyst. Can't say that word, I guess. I might play Thorn of Amethyst this turn. I'm just never going to get value off my Sculptor, I guess. That said, my opponent did nothing, so I might be able to take the turn off here and just play the Sculptor instead. And then next turn, play Architect, play Thorn, play I wouldn't be able to play Mausoleum Wanderer in that case, but... This deck's it's its own little puzzle every time, just the hands you get. Well, that changes stuff a little bit. I don't hate the idea right now of playing Artificer's Assistant and Mausoleum Wanderer, so we can start attacking our opponent, and then next turn, if we hit a land, we can play Grand Architect and play the Thorn. And if not, we can just play the Thorn. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because we've got our opponent at least slowed down for the moment with Grafdigger's Cage, but they just drew 3 cards off of hugging a dead parent. So we, sorry, that's... That's just how I always hear people refer to these cards. With this and Pia and Kira, people always just said dead parents because, whatever, it's the story, that's the lore or whatever. I think they're alive even now in the story. I don't know, but that's how it works. That's what people always call this. They call this one Hugs, and they call Pia and Kira the others. So yeah, probably not the best nickname. Regardless, they drew a bunch of cards. They now have a shot at getting a Nature's Claim here. So if they have it, though, I assume they would have just slammed it. So if they don't have it, we're we're gonna have a good shot here. They also don't have any black mana. Last game they had no green mana. In this game they have no black mana. Alright, they're gonna take down the Mausoleum Wanderer with a Lightning Axe, discarding a Dredge card. That is perfectly fine with me. Hopefully we hit a land here so that we can play the Architect, we can attack for 2, we can play the Thorn. In fact, I think I could even play the Sculptor, because the Sculptor is itself, you know, it's a creature, but it's also an artifact because it's from Alara. So land would have really opened things up there. However, that did not happen, and now I face a choice of Ethereum Sculptor plus Cage, or just play Thorn. I kind of think I like Ethereum Sculptor plus Cage. Gives us a second Cage. We get to scry multiple times this way. And in fact, that Lodestone, well, I think I have to ship it. I don't want to, but I think I do. Now we get to play another one, and that'll keep on top. Okay, so, you know, I wouldn't say, to be quite honest, I don't think things are wrapped up here. I think that we're going to keep our opponent from getting creatures from their graveyard into play this game, but sometimes sometimes Dredge just wins by doing stuff like casting Sinkweed Imps and killing all of your creatures with Death Touch. That's just a thing that can happen, and we don't exactly have a lot of ways to go around a Sinkweed Imp. But it looks like my opponent did not do that. And they can also just conflagrate our board down. You know, there's still a lot of things that can go wrong, but if this turn goes off without a hitch, we're just in great shape. So and now we get to do this. We get to scry again. We get to bottom that. Well, I tapped too much mana there, but we get a Thorn in play. I think I'm good to attack here. Yeah, and we'll just try to finish the game off this way. I mean, look at what our opponent has to fight through now. They've got 2 Grafdigger's Cages, so their graveyard is just basically out of the question. The Thorn is going to Amethyst. Oh, I got it that time. Anyways, the Thorn is going to make everything else they do at least be more taxed. So they're not out of the game. Oh my gosh, they're casting Price Amalgams. I'm sorry, that's just not where you want to be. It's just truly not. It does come into play on tap this way. They took so much damage to do that. They took 4 damage. They fetch shocked themselves and then used the Mana Confluence and just took 4 damage or whatever there to play that Amalgam. And obviously I just punish them anyways by drawing the Ballista. Oh, this is just so ugly for my opponent here. Alright, so I'm going to attack with the Artificer's Assistant. Get our 2 damage in. Truly broken Dominaria common right here. Alright, so we'll make a bunch of mana this way. I want to see... This is going to be a big Ballista. Alright, so I've got 7 mana in my pool, so I should be able to Ballista for 4 here. Because it costs 1 less thanks to the Ethereum Sculptor, yep. And we get a scry off of it. How good is that? And this just makes it so awkward for our opponent if they're just going to die. I was going to say, it makes it pretty awkward for them, even if they have, you know, Conflagrate or something there. So we were about to scry land away, draw a land. But yeah, that Ballista was going to clean things up. There you go, everybody. Blue Steel, an absolute real threat in this metagame because you just play 1/1s for 1 and you play 1/2s for 2. And somehow a good deck comes of it. There you go, everybody. Thank you for watching. I'm Corbin Hostler. This is Mighty Modern. Again, I apologize for being late. I'm feeling much better now than I did a few days ago. So check back. We're going to have more Mighty Modern back on Monday next week. And check out the Arena videos I've been doing. I've been doing 12 Rare Runs is the name of the series here on TCGplayer with MTG Arena. The concept being that I take a deck on Arena that is the budget version of how Arena works. It's done by the rarity. So no more than 12 rares. Honestly, I might even change that because I've had success. I had 7 wins. I won't spoil which one it was, but I got 7 wins with one of my decks in that series. I'm only playing 6 rares in it. So go check that one out. It's really cool. And that's it, everybody. I'm Corbin Hostler. Thank you for watching. And if you're at the end here, check out the deck tech. Hey everybody, welcome to the deck tech for Blue Steel. This is a pretty sweet deck. This is a Zach Elsick special. I use Zach's decks all the time here. He's great. Go follow him on Twitter. Go check out Zach Elsick. He created, let me rephrase, he did not create Lantern Control. He tuned Lantern Control, put it on the Grand Prix scene, and then won a GP with it. Very impressive. But he also made this deck, and I actually helped him name this deck Blue Steel. That's what we're calling it because, hey, this is the name you can get by with on coverage. It's descriptive but fun at the same time. So check it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to cheat out some artifacts here. Chief Engineer, artifact spells you cast have Convoke. Well, that makes it pretty easy to tap all of our creatures for these big spells here. Grand Architect, tap an untapped blue creature you control, add 2 mana to your pool, colorless. It can only be used for artifacts. Okay. Well, how about Ethereum Sculptor? Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less. Well, that's our, you see what we're doing here. We're going to discount our cards, and then we're going to play some sweet stuff. We're going to play Lodestone Golems on turn 3, tax our opponent out of the game. We're going to play Walking Ballistas that just get huge with all the cost reductions. Look, we're even going to play Traxos. Dominaria Limited Bomb Traxos, the Scourge of Kroog, is apparently a thing in Modern now. Absolutely. We're also playing Artificer's Assistant from Dominaria for that sweet historic value, Scry 1. But yeah, it's just trivially easy to untap this in this deck. And you're going to play it on turn 3 all the time, which is great. So, hey, I mean, it's in a lot of matchups, just having a 7, especially when you're doing other stuff, right? We have Mausoleum Wanderer to tax them. We have Lodestone Golems to tax them. We're Walking Ballista to deal with their creatures. Just having a 7/7 that attacks is good enough. But it does not end there, everybody. There's a lot more. So I mentioned the Mausoleum Wanderers. We have Smuggler's Copter in this deck because Kaladesh is just apparently incredibly broken still. This card's great. It's very, very easy to crew. You get a loot, which is great when you have some, whiffs in your deck like Assistant and Sculptor. But between Copter and the addition of Assistant to this deck now, it actually has a much better velocity than it did before. You have fewer games where you get to the late game and you're like, man, we need something good here, and then you draw, a Mausoleum Wanderer or an Ethereum Sculptor, something that doesn't do anything. These really actually help to solve that problem. Smuggler's Copter and Assistant, and even the Karn we threw in, which was in the sideboard originally. So that's it, everybody. That's the deck. I should not neglect to mention Throne of the God-Pharaoh, legendary artifact for Mom and Cat. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life, equal number of tapped creatures you control. Well, notice the theme with our deck. It's pretty easy to tap creatures. I mean, heck, Traxos comes into play tapped. But whether we are tapping for mana, tapping for Convoke, tapping to attack, whatever the case is, tapping to crew, and remember, you can over-crew. The point is, it's very easy to have tapped creatures, and Throne of the God-Pharaoh does a lot of damage. Bleakpaw Nexus, Academy Ruins, a bunch of islands, pretty straightforward sideboard, land base, except I'll mention Manamo, School at Water's Edge. I love this card, Merfolk. Untap target legendary permanent. Well, Traxos, that's a legendary permanent, everybody. Pretty good combo right there. Sideboard, pretty generic, straightforward. The cool thing is we have a Trinket Mage package in the deck, because not only can it get your Walking Ballista already as a finisher, it can also pick up these things. Graphiger's Cage, Pithing Needle, Relic Virginitas, whatever you need. Rejections for artifacts, Thorn of Amethyst, Traxos combo decks, even more on top of your Lodestones. Another Karn for the grinding matchups, and a Wormcoil, when you really want to grind against a big deck and just, Jund or something. You just need to go over the top and have some value. There you go, everybody. That is the deck Blue Steel. This Mighty Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler. Sorry for this being late. I apologize, especially for watching this at the beginning of the video before you watch the matches. I apologize for being late. I was sick over the weekend. Won't happen again, but thank you for watching, everybody.